Tasha wiped down the counter for the third time that evening, her dark hands moving in slow circles across the worn surface. The cafe was nearly empty, just her and the hum of the old refrigerator keeping her company. Through the smudged window, she could see him, the homeless man who'd been sitting on the bench across the street for weeks now. He never bothered anyone, just sat there with his cardboard sign and kind eyes. 3 men approached him. Something about the way they moved made Tasha's stomach tighten. They weren't walking past, they were circling. She grabbed her apron strings and untied them, without thinking. Her manager always said not to get involved in street business. But Tasha had grown up watching her grandmother stand up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. The bell above the door chimed as she pushed it open. "Hey!" She marched across the empty street, her worn sneakers slapping against the pavement. "Leave him alone." The tallest one turned, his face twisted in annoyance. "This ain't your business, lady." "It is now." Tasha planted herself between them and the homeless man, who looked up at her with wide, grateful eyes. "He's not hurting anybody. Move along." "You don't know who you're messing with." "I don't care who I'm messing with." Tasha cut him off, her voice steady even though her heart was racing. "There's cameras on this street. You really want trouble tonight?" There weren't actually cameras, but they didn't know that. The men exchanged glances. The tall one spat on the ground near her feet, then jerked his head toward the others. Whatever, not worth it. They walked away, throwing curses over their shoulders. Tasha turned to the homeless man who was struggling to stand. "You okay?" "Thank you, miss. You shouldn't have done that. Those boys, they're connected to some bad people." "Well, bad people don't scare me," Tasha said, though her hands were shaking now. "You hungry? Come on, I'll get you something to eat." Stop right here and drop your prediction. How does this story end? Use emojis, use words, whatever. Just guess before you keep watching. Subscribe so you're always first to see new stories, and come back to your comment later to see if you were right. The wildest prediction gets pinned. Now keep watching. You're about to find out if your gut was right. She helped him across the street and into the cafe, settling him at a corner booth. As she poured coffee and heated up leftover soup, she didn't notice the black sedan that had been parked 3 blocks away, its driver speaking rapidly into his phone in Korean. The homeless man ate slowly, gratefully. "You have a good heart, miss. What's your name?" "Tasha. Yours?" "Samuel." He smiled, revealing missing teeth. "I haven't been Samuel in a long time, though. Most people just walk past like I'm invisible." "You're not invisible," Tasha said firmly. She glanced at the clock, nearly closing time. "Listen, I'm gonna pack you some food to take with you, okay?" As she moved around the kitchen, Samuel watched her with an expression that seemed almost sad. "You remind me of someone," he said quietly. "Someone who used to believe the world was good." Tasha brought him a bag of sandwiches and fruit. "The world is good. It's just, sometimes good people have to work a little harder to prove it." After Samuel left, Tasha locked up and walked the 6 blocks to her tiny apartment. She didn't think much about what had happened. It was just the right thing to do. She fell asleep on her lumpy couch, too tired to even make it to her bedroom. Morning came with loud car engines. Tasha jerked awake to the sound of doors slamming. She stumbled to her window and pulled back the curtain. Her breath stopped. 50 black cars lined the street. 50. All identical, all gleaming in the early morning sun. Men in dark suits stood beside each one, their posture military straight. "What in the world?" Tasha whispered. She threw on yesterday's jeans and a clean shirt, not even bothering to fix her hair properly. By the time she got downstairs, her landlord was already outside, his mouth hanging open. "Tasha, What did you do? I don't know. She pushed past him. One of the suited men stepped forward. He was Korean, maybe in his 30s, with sharp features and calculating eyes. Miss Tasha Williams? That's me. What's happening? Did I do something wrong? On the contrary. The man's English was perfect, but accented. You did something very right. My employer requests your presence. He gestured to the lead car, a vehicle that probably cost more than everything Tasha had ever owned combined. Who's your employer? Someone who wishes to thank you properly for your kindness last night. Tasha's mind raced back to Samuel, to the three men, to her stupid, brave moment. I just helped an old man. It wasn't, please. The suited man opened the car door. Mr. Kang does not make requests lightly. Something in his tone suggested this wasn't really a request at all. Tasha climbed into the car, her heart hammering. The interior smelled like new leather and money. Another man sat in the driver's seat, his eyes meeting hers in the rearview mirror before looking away. They drove through the city, past neighborhoods Tasha had only seen on TV. The buildings got taller, cleaner, newer. Finally, they pulled into an underground garage beneath a skyscraper that seemed to touch the clouds. The elevator ride lasted forever. Tasha counted the floors. They passed 40, 50, 60. She'd never been this high up in her life. When the doors opened, she stepped into an office that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city spread out below. The furniture that was probably considered art. Everything white and black and perfect. And in the center of it all, standing with his back to her, was a man. He turned around. Tasha's world tilted sideways. Samuel? Except it wasn't Samuel. Couldn't be Samuel. This man was clean-shaven, his hair styled perfectly. He wore a suit that fit him, like it had been sewn onto his body. His face was the same, but different. Younger without the dirt, harder without the defeated slump of his shoulders. My name, he said in a voice that was deeper, more controlled than the homeless man's raspy whisper, is Jun-Ho Kang. Samuel was an experiment. Tasha took a step back. You lied to me? I needed to see the truth of this city, the truth of its people. He moved closer, and Tasha noticed he walked with barely contained power now, like a predator pretending to be tame. For 3 months, I lived on those streets. Hundreds of people passed me every day. They saw poverty and looked away. They saw suffering and crossed the street. So you what? Tested us? Like we're rats in your lab? I tested humanity, Jun-Ho corrected, and most of it failed, until you. Tasha's hands clenched into fists. I don't want your thanks. I don't want anything from you. You played games with people's kindness. Those men who threatened me last night, they work for the Nakamura family. Do you know what that means? No, and I don't care. It means they will remember your face. It means you made an enemy of very dangerous people. The words hit Tasha like ice water. You're saying, because I helped you, I'm in danger now? Jun-Ho's expression didn't change. Yeah, I'm saying I owe you a debt, and I always pay my debts. I don't want your money. Good, because I'm not offering money. He walked to his desk, pressed a button. Immediately, the suited man from earlier entered. This is Seong-jin, my head of security. From this moment forward, he and his team will ensure nothing happens to you. I don't need protection. I need my life back, the one where I don't know about whatever this is. Tasha gestured wildly at the office, at him, at everything. Jun-Ho studied her with dark eyes that seemed to see right through her anger, to the fear underneath. You can't unknow what you know now. The Nakamura family controls half the illegal operations in this city. They will investigate you. They will discover your routine, your weaknesses, your family. I don't have family, Tasha interrupted, her voice cracking slightly. My grandmother died 2 years ago. It's just me. Something flickered across Junho's face. Pain, maybe, or recognition. Then it's just you I need to protect. Why do you even care? You got your answer, didn't you? Congratulations. One person in this whole city has a functioning conscience. Now you can go back to whatever it is you do. What I do, Junho said quietly, is run one of the largest import-export businesses in Asia. What I also do, though not many people know this, is protect my territory from families like the Nakamura. They've been trying to expand into my operations for years. Your interference last night has given them a new target. Tasha sank into a nearby chair without permission, her legs suddenly weak. This is insane. Yesterday I was worried about making rent. Now you're telling me I'm caught in some gang war? Not a gang. The Korean Mafia has rules, structure, honor. Gangs are chaotic. We are anything but. Oh, well, that makes me feel so much better, Tasha said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You're an organized crime family, much classier. Junho's lips twitched, almost a smile. You have fire. I see why you weren't afraid last night. I was afraid. I just did it anyway. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. He moved to the window, his silhouette dark against the bright sky. I've spent years learning who I can trust in this city. Most people want something from me. Power, money, connections. You wanted nothing except to help someone you thought was suffering. Because that's what people do, Tasha said tiredly. We help each other. It's not complicated. In my world, everything is complicated. Tasha stood up, smoothing down her jeans, even though they were already as smooth as they were going to get. Look, Mr. Kang. Junho. Mr. Kang, she repeated firmly. I appreciate the warning. I'll be careful, okay? I'll take a different route home. I'll watch my back. Whatever. But I can't. I can't have 50 cars following me around. I have a life. A normal, boring, regular life. That life ended the moment you stepped off that curb. His words hung in the air like a threat and a promise all at once. Xiangjin cleared his throat from the doorway. Sir, the morning meeting. Cancel it. Junho didn't turn around. Miss Williams and I aren't finished. I think we are, actually, Tasha said, heading for the door. But Xiangjin didn't move. And something told her he wouldn't, unless Junho told him to. 1 week, Junho said. Give me 1 week to prove to you that this threat is real. Let my people watch over you. If after 7 days nothing happens, I'll pull back the security. You'll never see me again. Tasha wanted to argue, wanted to walk out and pretend none of this was happening. But the memory of those men last night, the cold promise in their eyes. 1 week, she agreed. But your people stay outside my apartment. I'm not having strangers in my space. Junho finally turned, and this time he definitely smiled. Small, barely there, but real. Agreed. The cafe looked different with a black car parked across the street. Tasha tried to ignore it as she took orders and poured coffee, but her eyes kept drifting to the tinted windows. Her manager, Rick, he noticed by lunchtime. Friend of yours? He nodded toward the car. Something like that. Must be a good friend. That's a $200,000 vehicle. Tasha nearly dropped the coffee pot. That can't be right. Rick shrugged. My brother sells luxury cars. Trust me, that's custom work. Bulletproof glass too, probably. You running with a new crowd, Tasha? No, definitely not. But even as she said it, She wondered if that was true anymore. The day passed slowly. Every time the door opened, Tasha jumped. Every unfamiliar face made her heart race. By closing time, her nerves were shot. The black car's door opened as she locked up. Seong-jin stepped out, his suit somehow still perfect despite the heat. "Miss Williams, I'll walk you home." "I can walk myself. It's not negotiable." There was no threat in his voice, in just statement of fact. Tasha sighed and started walking, Seong-jin matching her pace exactly 3 steps behind. "Do you have to walk so close?" "Yes." "Can you at least tell me what you're watching for?" "Everything." "Great. Super helpful." They made it 2 blocks before Tasha noticed the other man. He was pretending to look at his phone, but his eyes were tracking her. Young, Asian, tattoo peeking out from his collar. Seong-jin noticed too. His hand moved inside his jacket. "Is that—" "Keep walking. Don't look back." Tasha's mouth went dry. The man with the tattoo started following, not even trying to hide it now. Then another man appeared from a side street. Then another. "Seong-jin." "I know." He pulled out his phone, spoke rapid Korean. Within seconds, 2 more black cars screeched around the corner. And suddenly Tasha was surrounded by suited men. The tattooed men stopped, exchanged looks, then melted back into the shadows. Tasha's legs felt like water. That was them, wasn't it? The Nakamura people. Yes. Seong-jin guided her to one of the cars. "We're taking you home now. Different route." Inside the car, Tasha pressed her shaking hands between her knees. They were really going to— What? Grab me? Hurt me? Probably just intimidate you. Test Mr. Kang's protection. Seong-jin's voice was calm, matter of fact. "They know now that you're under our shield. They won't try again." "How can you be sure?" "Because next time, we won't just watch. We'll act." The unspoken threat chilled Tasha more than the actual danger had. When they reached her apartment building, Seong-jin walked her to her door. "Lock everything. We'll have someone stationed outside all night." "This is crazy," Tasha whispered. "This is absolutely crazy. This is necessary." He handed her a phone. Sleek, expensive, definitely not the cracked thing she usually carried. Mr. Kang programmed his number. "Any problem, any fear, any question, you call. Immediately." After he left, Tasha sat on her couch in the dark, holding the new phone. She should be terrified. She was terrified. But underneath the fear was something else, something she didn't want to examine too closely. Jun-ho had been right. Everything had changed. Her old phone buzzed, her real phone, the one with her actual life on it. A text from her friend Imara. "Girl, why are there men in suits outside your building?" Tasha groaned. How was she supposed to explain this? She typed back, "Long story, and tell you later." But she couldn't tell the real story. Who would believe it? She barely believed it herself. The new phone rang, making her jump. Unknown number, except she knew exactly who it was. "Hello? Are you all right?" Jun-ho's voice was different over the phone, somehow more intimate without his face to distract her. "Seong-jin told you what happened." "Of course. I told you this was real." "Yeah, well, seeing it in person is different than hearing about it in some fancy office." Tasha stood, started pacing. "Those men, they looked at me like I was a problem to solve. To them, you are. You interfered with their territory, their pride. They have to respond or look weak." "So this is about male ego?" "I could have been hurt, because some guys got their feelings bruised. This is about power, control, territory." A pause. "And yes, ego plays a part. It always does." Tasha stopped at her window, careful to stay behind the curtain. She could see the car stationed below, a silent guardian. How long do you think this will last? This interest in me? Until they understand you're not worth the war, it would start to touch you. And when will that be? It already is. Tonight was their test. They know now that I'm serious about protecting you. The question is whether they're serious about challenging me. Something in his voice made Tasha ask, "Do you want them to challenge you?" Silence. Then, "They've been a problem for a long time. If they gave me a reason to eliminate that problem, I wouldn't be sad about it." Eliminate. You mean? I mean solve. Permanently. Before Tasha could respond to that terrifying statement, Junho continued, "But I won't use you as bait. This isn't a game to me. Your safety is important." The way he said that last word, like he was admitting something he didn't want to, made Tasha's stomach flip. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why does some random waitress matter to you? And don't give me that debt speech again." "Because you saw me at my lowest and offered me soup." His voice was rough now, raw. "Do you know how many people I've met who would have stepped over me to get to their destination? How many who would have laughed, taken pictures, made me a joke on social media? But I was testing them," he continued. "I chose to be there, chose that vulnerability. You didn't know that. You just saw someone who needed help and helped. No hesitation, no expectation of reward. That kind of goodness is rare. Worth protecting." Tasha's throat felt tight. "I'm not that good. I'm just regular. Regular people don't stand between strangers and danger. Regular people protect themselves first." A sound like he was moving, maybe sitting down. "I've lived in a world of calculated moves and hidden agendas my entire life. Meeting someone who acts from pure instinct, pure heart. It's revolutionary. You make me sound like a saint. I'm not. I get mad. I hold grudges. I ate the last of my roommate's ice cream once and never admitted it." Junho laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was startling and beautiful and made Tasha smile despite everything. "There. See? Regular, flawed, human." She sat back down, curling her legs under her. "Don't put me on a pedestal. I'll just disappoint you." "I don't think that's possible." The certainty in his voice scared her. They talked for another hour. He told her about growing up in two worlds, the legitimate business his father built, and the shadow empire that protected it. She told him about her grandmother, about learning to cook in that tiny kitchen, about dreams she'd had before life got in the way. When they finally hung up, Tasha realized she'd forgotten to be afraid. Forgotten about the danger, the strangeness, the impossibility of it all. She'd just been talking to someone who understood being alone in a crowded world. Morning brought an unexpected gift. Tasha opened her door to find bags of groceries, expensive ones, the kind she never bought because her budget didn't stretch that far. Fresh vegetables, good coffee, real butter instead of margarine. A note in precise handwriting. "You feed others. Someone should feed you. J.H." She should be annoyed, should feel like this was charity, pity. Instead, she felt seen. Work was easier with Seong-jin stationed outside, knowing he was there, that someone was watching for danger. Let Tasha breathe properly for the first time since yesterday. Rick had stopped asking questions, though his curious glances suggested he had plenty. Around 3 p.m., the door chimed and Junho walked in. Not the homeless Samuel, not the imposing CEO. Just a man in jeans and a simple black shirt, his hair slightly mussed, like he'd been running his hands through it. "Tasha." He said her name like it meant something. "What are you doing here?" She glanced around nervously. The cafe wasn't empty. Mrs. Chen sat in the corner with her newspaper. Two students were studying by the window, ordering coffee. He approached the counter, and Tasha noticed he moved differently here. Less controlled, more natural. Unless that's not allowed. No, of course. What do you want? What do you recommend? She wanted to say something sarcastic, but the way he was looking at her, like her opinion genuinely mattered, stopped the words. The Ethiopian roast. It's bright, little bit fruity, nothing fancy, but it's good. Then I'll have that. Tasha made his coffee, hyper-aware of his eyes following her movements. When she set the cup in front of him, their fingers brushed. Just for a second, barely anything, but electricity shot up her arm. How much? On the house. I can pay. I know you can probably buy this whole building without checking your bank account. Tasha interrupted. But it's just coffee. Let me give you just coffee. Junho picked up the cup, took a sip, and something in his expression softened. It's good. You were right. I usually am. That almost smile again. I'm learning that. He sat at the counter instead of taking a table, which meant Tasha had to work around him. Every time she turned, he was there, solid and present, and increasingly hard to ignore. Don't you have, I don't know, empire stuff to do? She asked while wiping down the espresso machine. I delegated. You can't just delegate running a criminal organization. She lowered her voice at the last part, glancing at the other customers. Nobody was paying attention. I delegate quite effectively, actually. How do you think I had 3 months to live on the streets? Tasha paused. She hadn't thought about that. Why did you do that? Really? Testing humanity seems like something a villain does. Not a what? I don't know what you are, she admitted. Are you good? Bad? Something in between? Junho set down his cup carefully. I'm a man trying to protect what's mine while navigating a world that doesn't allow simple answers. Does that make me good or bad? It makes you complicated. So are you. I'm a waitress who can't afford her rent half the time. I'm the opposite of complicated. You stand between danger and strangers. You feed people who can't feed themselves. You act like your life is small, but I think you're scared it might not be, that you might be capable of something bigger. He leaned forward slightly. That seems complicated to me. Tasha's hands stilled on the towel she'd been twisting. You don't know me well enough to say that. Then let me know you better. Why? The question came out almost desperate. Why do you care? Why are you here instead of in your tower, running your empire? Because you're the first real thing I've encountered in a very long time. His voice dropped, intimate despite the public setting. Everyone wants something from me. You just want me to leave you alone. It's refreshing, terrifying, addictive. Before Tasha could respond, before she could even process what he'd just admitted, Rick emerged from the back. Tasha, we need more. Oh, hello. He looked between them, understanding dawning. So this is why the expensive cars. Junho stood smoothly. I should go. Thank you for the coffee, Tasha. He left cash on the counter, far too much for a single cup, and walked out before she could protest. Rick whistled low. Girl, that man is interested in you. Don't be ridiculous. I've been married 20 years. I know what interest looks like. That wasn't just gratitude or politeness. That was... He shook his head, grinning. That was a man trying not to fall and failing. He's a criminal, Tasha hissed. And you're a woman who just blushed harder than I've ever seen. Maybe you're both in trouble. She wanted to deny it, but her reflection in the metal napkin holder showed pink cheeks and bright eyes. Trouble. Yes, that was exactly what this was. That evening, Seong-jin walked her home again, but this time when they reached her building, there was another car waiting. A woman stepped out, elegant, Korean, her suit perfectly tailored. "Miss Williams, I'm Yuna, Mr. Kang's attorney." She handed Tasha a folder. Your new lease agreement." "My what?" "Mr. Kang has purchased this building. Your rent is now 0. He's also established a security deposit in case you wish to move to a safer neighborhood." Tasha stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. "He can't just... I didn't ask for this." "He knows. He did it anyway." Yuna's expression was neutral, professional. "There are also enrollment papers for university, should you wish to complete your degree, and a letter of recommendation for any job you'd like to apply for, signed by several prominent business leaders." "Stop. Just stop." Tasha shoved the folder back. "I don't want his money or his recommendations or his buildings. Tell him thank you, but no. Tell him I'm capable of taking care of myself." Yuna didn't take the folder. "He said you'd react this way. He asked me to tell you that accepting help isn't the same as being helpless. Sometimes it just means someone sees your worth before you do." The words hit harder than they should have. "He has no right. He has every right to spend his money however he chooses, just as you have every right to refuse." Yuna pulled out a business card, tucked it into the folder still in Tasha's hand. "But maybe consider that refusing isn't about pride. Maybe it's about fear. Fear that accepting means you're worth this kind of investment." She left before Tasha could argue, slipping back into her car and driving away. Tasha stood on the sidewalk, holding a folder full of opportunities she'd never dreamed possible, feeling angry and confused and dangerously close to crying. Her phone rang. The new one. "You can't buy me," she said, instead of hello. "I'm not trying to buy you. I'm trying to give you choices." Junho sounded tired. "You work 60-hour weeks to afford a place that's falling apart. You're smart enough for university, but can't afford tuition. These aren't gifts, Tasha. They're corrections. The world has been unfair to you. I have the power to make it fairer. Life isn't fair. That's just how it works. It doesn't have to be." A pause. "I'm not doing this to control you or own you. I'm doing this because I can, and you deserve better than what you have. You've known me for 3 days. I know enough." His voice was firm now, certain. "I know you're worth more than minimum wage and a landlord who doesn't fix your heating. I know you deserve security and opportunity and a chance to become whatever you're capable of being. If you don't believe that yet, fine. But I do." Tasha sat down on the steps, the folder heavy in her lap. "This is too much. It's all too much too fast. Then don't decide now. Keep the papers. Think about it." "But Tasha..." He waited until she made a sound of acknowledgement. "You helped me when I was nothing, when I had nothing. Let me return the favor now that I have everything." After they hung up, Tasha opened the folder. Inside was the lease agreement, the university enrollment forms, letters of recommendation from CEOs she'd only heard about on news, and a handwritten note. "You gave me soup. Let me give you stars. J.H." She cried then, sitting on the steps of a building that was apparently now owned by a man she barely knew, but who seemed to see straight into her soul. Tasha didn't accept the gifts. She didn't refuse them either. He'd just left them in a neat stack on her coffee table, where they seemed to stare at her accusingly every time she walked past. 3 days had gone by since the folder arrived. 3 days of Junho not contacting her directly, though Seong-jin reported that the Nakamura family had pulled back their surveillance. Apparently, the show of force had worked. She should feel relieved. Instead, she felt oddly disappointed that Junho hadn't called again. Thursday afternoon, a woman walked into the cafe. She was beautiful in an intimidating way. Expensive clothes, perfect makeup, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. Tasha Williams? The woman's accent was American, but her features were Korean. That's me. Can I help you? I'm Somin Lee, Junho's fiancé. The world tilted. Tasha gripped the counter to keep from swaying. His what? Fiancé. We've been engaged for 2 years now, though he tends to forget that when he's playing his little games. Somin's smile was sharp. He told you about his homeless experiment, I assume. Very dramatic. Very Junho. Did he also tell you it meant nothing? We're not. Tasha couldn't form a complete sentence. You're not what? Dating? Of course not. Junho doesn't date. He invests in people like collecting art pieces. You're interesting to him right now because you're different. But different doesn't mean special. Somin leaned against the counter, examining her perfect nails. In 6 months, he'll be bored. He'll move on to the next project, the next puzzle to solve. Why are you telling me this? Tasha found her voice finally. Because I've seen the way he looks at you. I saw you two together the other day. Saw that ridiculous expression on his face, like you hung the moon, or something equally absurd. Somin's eyes hardened. He's never looked at me that way, and I've known him for 15 years. So, I need you to understand. Whatever you think this is, it's not real. It's not lasting. It's just Junho being fascinated by something shiny and new. I'm not trying to take him from you, Tasha said quietly. Good, because you couldn't if you tried. Our marriage has been arranged since we were children. It's business, family, legacy. It's permanent. You're temporary. After Somin left, Tasha felt like she'd been hollowed out. She finished her shift on autopilot, smiled at customers without seeing them, poured coffee without tasting it. Engaged. He was engaged. And he'd acted like she mattered. Like they were building toward something. Jin noticed her mood on the walk home. Miss Williams, is something wrong? Did you know? She stopped walking, turned to face him. Did you know he was engaged? Jin's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. I know many things about Mr. Kang that aren't my place to discuss. That's a yes. That's a diplomatic answer to an impossible question. He gestured for her to keep walking. What you need to understand about Mr. Kang is that his life was decided for him before he was old enough to have opinions. Every major decision, including marriage, was made by his father and the family council. Duty comes first. Always. So Somin's telling the truth. They're getting married. They're engaged, Jin corrected. Marriage hasn't been scheduled. As far as I know, it never has been. What's the difference? The difference is 2 years of an engagement that hasn't progressed. The difference is a man who follows every family obligation, except that one. The difference is... He stopped, seemed to debate whether to continue. The difference is, I've never seen Mr. Kang smile at Miss Lee the way he smiled at you over coffee. Tasha's heart did a painful flip. That doesn't matter if he's still going to marry her, doesn't it? I think it matters very much. The question is, whether it matters enough. They reached her building. Tasha started to head inside, then turned back. Jin, thank you for being honest. I'm rarely honest, but for you, Miss Williams, I'll make exceptions. Inside her apartment, Tasha stared at her phone. The new one, with Junho's number programmed in. She should call him, demand explanations. Or maybe she should just throw the phone away. Forget any of this happened. She did neither. Just sat in the growing dark, wondering how she'd gotten so tangled up in someone else's life in less than a week. Her old phone rang. Imara. Tasha, where have you been? I've texted like 50 times. Sorry, work's been crazy. Work or the mysterious men in suits? Imara's voice was teasing but concerned. Girl, you're worrying me. What's going on? I don't even know how to explain. Try. I've got wine and no plans. So Tasha told her. Not everything. She couldn't mention the Nakamura family or the organized crime aspects, but she told Imara about helping a homeless man who turned out to be something else entirely, about the protection and the gifts and the impossibility of it all. Wait, he's rich and interested in you? Tasha, that's like a movie. He's also engaged. Silence. Then, oh. Yeah, oh. But he hasn't mentioned this fiancé? Hasn't acted like he's taken? No, which makes it worse somehow. Like he's using me for, I don't know, entertainment, a distraction, or maybe, Imara said carefully, he's trapped in something he doesn't want, and you're the first person who makes him feel like escape is possible. That's ridiculous. You can't just walk away from an engagement. Rich people do ridiculous things all the time. They make their own rules. A pause. The real question is, how do you feel about him? Tasha closed her eyes. I've known him for less than a week. That's not an answer. I feel like I'm falling off a cliff and I don't know if there's ground at the bottom or just more falling. That's terrifying. It is. It also sounds like you already know the answer. Imara's voice softened. Maybe stop fighting it and see where the falling takes you. After they hung up, Tasha looked at the folder on her coffee table. All those opportunities, all that faith in someone he barely knew. She picked up the phone, the new one. He answered on the first ring. Tasha, your fiancé came to see me today. Silence. Heavy, loaded silence. She told me, Tasha continued when he didn't speak, that I'm just a project to you, a temporary fascination. Is that true? No. His voice was rough. Everything about that is no. But you are engaged. It's complicated. Stop saying that. Stop acting like nothing is simple when the truth is incredibly simple. You're promised to someone else. Nothing I feel or you feel changes that fact. What you feel? He latched onto those words. What do you feel, Tasha? Confused, angry, stupid for letting myself hope. She cut herself off. Hope for what? It doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters. She could hear him moving, background noise suggesting he was somewhere public. Somin and I were engaged by our families. I've known her my entire life. I respect her, but I don't love her. I've never loved her. That doesn't mean you won't marry her. No, he admitted. In my world, marriage isn't about love. It's about alliance, power, legacy. My father expects me to fulfill this obligation. Then what are we doing? Tasha whispered. Why are you here, in my life, making me feel things I have no right to feel? Because when I look at you, I forget about obligations. I forget about what I'm supposed to do, supposed to be. You make me want impossible things. Things you can't have. Things I might be willing to destroy everything to try for. The words hung between them, heavy with promise and threat. Don't, Tasha said. Don't destroy anything for me. I'm not worth that. You are. You're worth everything. That's the problem. He laughed, but it sounded broken. I've spent my life making calculated decisions, every move planned, every relationship strategic. Then you appear, and suddenly nothing is calculated. Nothing is planned. I just want... What? She barely breathed the question. You. In whatever way you'll let me have you. Friendship, conversations at 3 a.m., stolen hours in a cafe. I'll take anything, everything, as much as you're willing to give. Tasha's vision blurred with tears. That's not fair. You're asking me to be okay with crumbs when you what? When I'm already feeling way too much for someone who can never really be mine. She hung up before he could respond, before she could take back the confession or hear his reaction to it. The phone immediately started ringing again. She ignored it. It rang 17 more times before finally stopping. Tasha called in sick to work the next day. Rick didn't question it. Probably heard the tears in her voice, even though she tried to hide them. She spent the morning in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how her life had become a drama she wouldn't even believe if she watched it on TV. Around noon, someone knocked on her door. Not the polite knock of a visitor. The insistent, I'm not leaving knock of someone determined. Tasha dragged herself up, expecting maybe Imara coming to check on her. She opened the door to find Junho. He looked terrible. His hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept. He looked human, in a way he never had before, vulnerable and raw and real. You hung up on me, he said. You should go. I canceled 3 meetings, postponed a merger worth millions, and drove across the city in traffic that should be illegal. I'm not going anywhere. You can't just... I broke off my engagement. The words came out flat, final. This morning, I went to Somin's apartment and told her we're done. Tasha's breath caught. You what? I told her the truth, that I don't love her, will never love her, and pretending otherwise is hurting us both. I told her she deserves someone who looks at her the way I look at you. Junho, no. No. You can't do that. Your family. My family will adapt. They're furious, yes. My father threatened to disown me. The council called an emergency meeting. I don't care. He stepped closer, and Tasha could smell his cologne, see the desperation in his dark eyes. I've spent 34 years doing what everyone expected, following the path set for me, being the dutiful son, the perfect heir. I'm done. You can't throw away your entire life because of one conversation. This isn't because of one conversation. It's because of you defending a stranger without hesitation. It's because you gave me soup and kindness when you thought I had nothing. It's because you make me laugh and challenge me and see me as more than my last name or my business or my obligations. He reached out slowly, giving her time to back away. When she didn't, he touched her cheek gently. It's because I'm falling in love with you, and fighting it is like trying to stop breathing. Tasha's tears came properly now, hot and fast. This is crazy. We barely know each other. I know you put extra bread in bags for the homeless people you serve. I know you hum when you make coffee and don't realize you're doing it. I know you're terrified of heights, but won't admit it, and that you read romance novels on your breaks, even though you pretend they're silly. I know you better in 1 week than I've known most people in years. How do you know all that? Because I pay attention to things that matter. And Tasha? He leaned in closer, his forehead almost touching hers. You matter more than anything else. She should push him away, should remember all the reasons this was impossible, dangerous, doomed. Instead, she whispered, What happens now? Now you tell me if I destroyed my life for nothing or for everything. Tasha looked into his eyes, saw hope and fear mixed together. This man had given up his duty, his family's approval, possibly his empire, betting it all on her. You're an idiot, she said, but her hand came up to cover his where it still cupped her cheek. Probably. Is that a yes? That's a maybe. Probably. We'll see. She laughed through her tears. Yeah, that's a you better not hurt me, or I don't know what I'll do, but it'll be bad. I won't hurt you. I'll spend every day proving this was the right choice. Your family hates me now. They'll come around. And if they don't, then that's their loss. He pulled back slightly, seeming to notice her apartment properly for the first time. His eyes caught on the folder, still sitting on the coffee table. You didn't take any of it. I don't need your charity. What about my support? My belief in you? He picked up the folder, opened it. These aren't handouts, Tasha. They're investments in someone extraordinary, who hasn't been given the opportunities she deserves. I'm not extraordinary. You stood between me and danger when you thought I was nothing. You fed me when you barely have enough for yourself. You called me out for my games instead of being impressed by my wealth. Tell me how that's not extraordinary. Tasha took the folder from his hands, looked at the university forms. If I do this, if we do this, things have to change. No more 50 cars showing up. No more making decisions about my life without asking me first. We do this as partners or not at all. Partners. Junho tested the word, smiled. I like that. Partners who argue and challenge each other and make each other better. Partners who communicate instead of leaving huge secrets like fiancés hanging around. There are no more secrets, I promise. He held out his hand. Start over? Hi, I'm Junho Kang. I run an import-export business that's mostly legitimate. I'm estranged from my family as of this morning. Yeah, and I'm absolutely terrified that I've messed this up before it even started. Tasha took his hand, felt that electric connection again. I'm Tasha Williams. I serve coffee for minimum wage. I have trust issues, and I think you might be the most complicated man I've ever met. Is complicated bad? I'm still figuring that out. They stood there, hands linked, the whole impossible future stretching ahead of them. Tasha's old phone buzzed. Text from Rick. Take all the time you need. But also, that guy who's been watching the cafe. He just left flowers. Flowers. With a note that says, I'm sorry. You got yourself a keeper if you don't mess this up. She showed Junho the text. He had the grace to look embarrassed. I might have stopped by the cafe this morning. You weren't there. Rick said you were sick. I panicked. You sent flowers to my workplace. And to your apartment. Check your door. Tasha opened the door. Sitting in the hallway was the most beautiful bouquet she'd ever seen. Wild flowers and roses mixed together. No formal arrangement. Just natural and perfect. You're ridiculous, she said, but she was smiling. About you? Absolutely. He helped her bring the flowers inside. Can I stay? We could talk more, or watch a movie, or just sit. I don't care what we do as long as I'm with you. You really burned everything down, didn't you? Everything except what matters. He gestured around her small apartment. This matters. You matter. Us figuring out how to be partners matters. The rest, the empire, the family drama, the social standing, I'll deal with it. But I need to know you're in this with me. Tasha thought about the folder, about the university forms and job recommendations. She thought about Junho breaking his engagement, facing his family's fury, choosing her over everything he'd ever known. She thought about falling off a cliff and finding out there was someone ready to fall with her. Okay, she said, I'm in. The smile that crossed Junho's face was like sunrise, slow, warm, transforming everything it touched. Thank you, he whispered, for giving me a chance, for being brave enough to let me be brave too. Don't make me regret it. I won't. I promise you, Tasha Williams. I absolutely won't. They spent the rest of the day talking, really talking. He told her about growing up in two worlds, learning to navigate boardrooms and street corners with equal ease. She told him about losing her grandmother, about dreams deferred, and hopes she'd almost forgotten to have. When evening came, Junho didn't want to leave, but knew he should. At the door, he hesitated. "Can I see you tomorrow?" "Actually see you, not just protected by Xiangjin from a distance." "You can see me at the cafe. I have a shift." "No, I mean, can I take you somewhere? Show you something important to me?" "Like a date?" "Exactly like a date. Our first official one, since apparently defending me from thugs and breaking engagements doesn't count." Tasha laughed. "Those definitely don't count. Tomorrow, pick me up at 7. I'll be here at 6:55. He left before she could respond, but she was smiling as she closed the door. Tomorrow. A real date with a man who'd chosen her over everything safe and expected. A man who looked at her like she was worth burning the world down for. Maybe Imara was right. Maybe sometimes falling was exactly where you needed to be. The date was perfect, which should have been Tasha's first warning. Junho picked her up in a normal car. Well, normal for him. Probably still worth more than her yearly salary. He drove them out of the city to a small Korean restaurant tucked in a neighborhood she'd never explored. "My mother used to bring me here," he explained as they sat at a corner table. "Before she passed away, before everything got complicated. This place, it reminds me that I used to be just a kid who loved his mom's cooking." They ate and talked and laughed. Junho told stories about his mother, about learning to use chopsticks and failing spectacularly. Tasha shared memories of her grandmother teaching her to make cornbread, how the kitchen would smell like home and safety. "I want you to meet my team properly," Junho said over dessert. "Not just as someone under protection, but as the woman I'm with, if you're comfortable with that. Comfortable knowing that your team is probably a bunch of organized crime enforcers. They're loyal people who've chosen a difficult path to protect what matters. Not so different from you, really. You protect through kindness. They protect through strength. Same intention, different methods. You have an answer for everything. I've had to. My whole life has been about having the right answer fast enough to survive." The vulnerability in his voice made Tasha reach across the table, lacing her fingers through his. "You don't have to have all the answers with me. Sometimes it's okay to just be." His thumb traced patterns on her palm. "I'm learning that. You make me want to learn that." They were leaving the restaurant when Tasha saw her. Soman, standing next to a car across the street, watching them with an expression that made Tasha's stomach drop. Junho. He'd seen her too. His whole body tensed. "Stay here." "Like hell I'm staying." But he was already crossing the street. Tasha hurried after him, catching the end of his conversation with Soman. "Telling you this is a courtesy," Soman was saying, her voice cold. "The family has made their decision. If you won't honor your obligations, they'll make you, one way or another. Let them try. Don't be stupid. You think loving her makes you invincible? They'll target her to get to you. They always do. Then I'll protect her. You can't protect her from everything." Somin's eyes flicked to Tasha, and something like pity crossed her face. "You should run, while you still can. Loving him is dangerous in ways you can't imagine." "I'm not running," Tasha said firmly, moving to stand beside Junho. "Whatever this is, we face it together." "How noble, how stupid." Somin shook her head. "Fine, destroy yourselves. Just don't say I didn't warn you." She left, her car disappearing into traffic. What did she mean about the family making you honor your obligations? Tasha asked as they got back to his car. Junho's jaw was tight. "There are ways to enforce compliance in my world. Threats, Ultimatums, removing resources. They'll try to make my life impossible until I cave. And if you don't cave, then things get worse. He started driving, but not toward her apartment. I need to show you something. Need you to understand what you're really signing up for. He drove to the waterfront, to a dock, where a small boat waited. They rowed across dark water, to an island Tasha didn't know existed so close to the city. On the island was a compound, walls and gates and guards, though they let Junho through without question. "This is my real home," he said as they walked through gardens lit by lanterns. "The penthouse, the office, those are for show, for business. This is where I come when I need to remember who I actually am." The house was beautiful, blending Korean and modern architecture in ways that shouldn't work but did. Inside, every surface told a story: photos of his mother, artwork from his childhood, books in multiple languages. "It's incredible," Tasha breathed. "It's yours too, if you want it." He turned to face her fully. "I'm not proposing, not yet. But I need you to know that I'm serious about this. About us. This isn't a game or a fascination. This is me showing you every part of my life and hoping you don't run." "Why would I run?" "Because this comes with danger, Tasha. Real danger. The Nakamura family won't stop being a threat. My own family is turning against me. Business rivals will see you as a weakness to exploit. Loving me means living with fear, as a constant companion." Tasha walked through the room, touching books, looking at photos. "My grandmother used to say that love without fear isn't real love. It's just comfortable agreement. Real love means being scared and choosing someone anyway." "Your grandmother was a wise woman." "She was." Tasha turned back to him. "I'm scared, Junho. I'm terrified. But I'm also happier than I've been in years. You make me feel seen in ways I didn't know I needed. So yeah, I'm staying. Whatever comes, we handle it together." He crossed to her in 3 strides, pulled her close, not kissing. They'd agreed to take things slow, but holding her like she was precious, breakable, essential. "I don't deserve you," he whispered into her hair. "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." They spent hours at the island house. He showed her his mother's studio, where she'd painted before she died, the garden she'd designed, the kitchen where she'd taught him to cook traditional dishes. "She would have loved you," Junho said. "She always said I needed someone who'd challenge me, keep me honest, remind me that money and power don't make a person. I wish I could have met her." "Me too." Around midnight, they headed back to the city. Junho walked Tasha to her door, and the goodbye felt weighted with everything they'd shared, everything still ahead. "Tomorrow," he said, "come to the office. Meet everyone properly. Let them see that you're not just someone I'm protecting, but someone I'm building a life with." That's a lot of pressure for a second date. "You handled me breaking an engagement and revealing my crime family connections. I think you can handle my employees." Tasha laughed, then sobered. "Junho, whatever your family tries to do, whatever the Nakamura do, we'll get through it, right?" "We will. I promise you, Tasha Williams. Sure, we absolutely will." She wanted to believe him, chose to believe him. But as she closed her apartment door and saw the folder still on her coffee table, she couldn't shake Soman's warning. Loving him is dangerous in ways you can't imagine. Tasha picked up the university enrollment forms, looked at the future they represented, a future she'd never dared hope for. She filled out the first page. Whatever came next, whatever threats or challenges or impossible obstacles, she was choosing this, choosing him, choosing the terrifying, exhilarating possibility that love might actually be worth the risk. Outside her window, Seong-jin's car sat watch, protection and promise all at once. Tasha fell asleep with the forms half completed on her coffee table and hope, dangerous, brilliant hope, blooming in her chest. But the next morning would bring new challenges. Junho's family would push back. The Nakamura might make another move. Life would get complicated in ways she couldn't predict. But for tonight, she had chosen love. And somehow, that felt like the bravest thing she'd ever done. Even braver than defending a stranger from thugs. Even braver than facing down men who wanted to hurt her. Because loving someone meant giving them the power to destroy you completely, and trusting them not to. Tasha was trusting Junho with everything. She just hoped that trust wasn't misplaced. Extended romance continuation. The morning came with Tasha's phone ringing before sunrise. Not the new phone, her old one, the cafe. Rick, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Tasha, someone just bought out the cafe, paid triple what it's worth. He's kept me on as manager, tripled everyone's salary, including yours, and left a note saying the place needed proper investment. Rick was practically shouting. It was your guy, wasn't it? Your mysterious Korean billionaire? Tasha sat up, already reaching for clothes. I'm coming in. Don't touch anything. She called Junho while getting dressed. He answered on the second ring, his voice rough with sleep. You bought the cafe? Good morning to you too. She could hear the smile in his voice. And yes, Rick deserves to own his own business without the stress of a terrible landlord, and you deserve to work somewhere that values you properly. You can't just buy every place I work. Watch me. I have excellent lawyers, and more money than sense, apparently. A pause, then softer. I want to take care of the people who matter to you, Tasha. Rick gave you chances when others wouldn't. He deserves good things too. Tasha's anger deflated like a balloon. You're impossible. I'm generous. There's a difference. Fine. But no more surprise purchases without telling me first. Deal? Deal. Now, about tonight. I want to take you somewhere special. Dress nice but comfortable. I'll pick you up at 6. Where are we going? It's a surprise. A better surprise than buying your workplace, I promise. She arrived at the cafe to find Rick practically dancing. Tasha, do you know what this means? I can finally fix the espresso machine and the freezer, and maybe even expand the menu. His joy was infectious. Tasha found herself grinning despite her earlier frustration. You deserve this, Rick. You've worked so hard. Your boyfriend is either the best man alive or completely crazy about you. Maybe both. He's not my boyfriend. We're just... But she couldn't finish the sentence. What were they exactly? Rick raised an eyebrow. Girl, a man doesn't drop that kind of money on someone who's just anything. That's love, or close enough to not matter. Love. The word followed Tasha through her shift, through customer orders and coffee making and small talk. Junho had said he was falling in love with her. But was she falling for him too? Or had she already fallen without noticing the moment it happened? Around 3 p.m., a delivery arrived. A dress box, elegant and expensive looking. The note inside read, "For tonight, but only if you want to wear it. If you'd rather wear your own clothes, I'll love you just the same. Sure, J.H." The dress was perfect. Deep emerald green. Simple but elegant. The kind of thing Tasha would have chosen for herself if money was no object. He'd paid attention to her style, her preferences, hadn't just bought something showy and expensive. That attention to detail did something to her heart. She wore the dress. Junho arrived at exactly 6 p.m., and his face when he saw her made every complicated feeling worth it. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world, like she'd hung every star in the sky just for him. You're beautiful, he said simply. You're always beautiful. But tonight, wow. The dress is gorgeous, thank you. The dress is just fabric. You make it gorgeous. He offered his arm. Ready? He drove them to the arts district, parking outside a building Tasha had passed 100 times, but never entered. Too expensive, too fancy, too not for people like her. The symphony? She whispered as they walked inside. My mother loved classical music. She'd bring me here when I was young, before my father decided it wasn't appropriate training for his heir. Junho's hand found hers, squeezed gently. I haven't been back since she died, but I wanted to come here with you, wanted to share something she loved with someone He stopped, swallowed hard. With someone important. They sat in a private box, the orchestra spreading below them like a sea of instruments. When the music started, Tasha felt it in her bones, violins and cellos weaving together, creating something bigger than individual notes. Halfway through the first piece, she noticed Junho had closed his eyes. Tears tracked down his cheeks silently. Tasha reached over, laced her fingers through his. He gripped her hand like it was an anchor, keeping him from drifting away completely. During intermission, they walked through the lobby. Other wealthy patrons stared at Junho's face, red from crying, at their joined hands, at Tasha in her beautiful dress that marked her as not quite belonging in this world. Everyone's looking, she murmured. Let them look. Let them see that Junho Kang chose someone real over someone appropriate. Let them see that I'm done pretending. He pulled her closer, his arm around her waist now, claiming and protective all at once. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Tasha. I don't care who knows it. An older Korean man approached, his expression stern. He spoke in rapid Korean, his tone sharp and disapproving. Junho's whole body tensed, but he responded in English. Uncle Min Seo, this is Tasha Williams. Tasha, this is my father's brother. He's displeased with my recent choices. Displeased is gentle, the uncle said, switching to English. His eyes raked over Tasha coldly. You throw away your future for this? A waitress? You dishonor your mother's memory? Don't. Junho's voice went dangerous. Don't you dare speak about my mother. She would have loved Tasha. She would have celebrated me choosing happiness over duty. Your mother understood sacrifice. My mother died miserable because she sacrificed everything for a man who didn't deserve her devotion. Junho's voice shook. I won't make her mistake. I won't marry someone I don't love to please people who've never cared about my actual happiness. Uncle Min Seo looked at Tasha again, and this time something shifted in his expression. Not acceptance exactly, but maybe curiosity. You love him? Knowing what he is, what his world demands. I love him because I know what he is, Tasha said quietly. He's someone who spent 3 months homeless to understand suffering. Someone who remembers his mother with tears instead of hiding emotion. Someone who'd rather lose everything than live a lie. She met the uncle's eyes steadily. Yeah, I love him, and I'm not going anywhere. The uncle studied them both for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he bowed slightly to Tasha. You have courage. Perhaps that's what he needs. To Junho, he added, Your father is wrong to try forcing you back to Somin, but he's also scared. Scared of change, of losing the last connection to his wife's family. Give him time. He walked away, leaving them both stunned. Did your uncle just approve? Tasha asked. I think he did. Min Seo always loved my mother best. Maybe he sees her in my choice to follow my heart instead of obligation. Junho turned to face her fully. You told him you love me. Yeah, I did. Tasha's heart hammered. Is that okay? I know we said we'd take things slow. It's more than okay. It's everything. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. I love you too, Tasha Williams. So much it scares me. So much I'd burn down my entire world just to keep you safe and happy. Please don't burn anything down. I'm pretty fond of parts of your world now. She smiled up at him, especially the part where you look at me like I'm your whole universe. That's because you are. The second half of the symphony was different. They sat closer, hands intertwined, sharing something sacred and beautiful. When the final notes faded, Jun-ho brought her hand to his lips, pressed a gentle kiss to her knuckles. Thank you, he whispered, for being here, for making this place hold happy memories again, instead of just sad ones. Dinner afterward was at a rooftop restaurant, the city lights spreading below them like fallen stars. They talked about everything and nothing, her university plans, his business expansion ideas, dreams they'd both stopped letting themselves have. I want to travel, Tasha admitted over dessert. I've never been anywhere except this city. Never seen the ocean or mountains or anything really. Then we'll travel. Anywhere you want to go, we'll go together. Jun-ho pulled out his phone, started pulling up images. Korea? You should see where my family came from. Or maybe Paris. The art, the food, or Greece, all those islands and ancient history. You're serious. Completely serious. What's the point of having money if I can't share experiences with the person I love? He showed her a picture of Santorini, white buildings against blue water. We could go here, watch the sunset, eat good food, forget about Mafia politics and family drama for a while. That sounds like a dream. Then let's make it real. Next month, after you finish your cafe training period, we'll take a week. Just us, exploring somewhere new together. Tasha felt tears prickling. How are you real? How is any of this real? I ask myself the same thing about you every single day. He reached across the table, held both her hands in his. You saved me, Tasha. Not just from those thugs, but from a life where I'd forgotten how to feel anything genuine. You reminded me that goodness exists, that people can choose kindness over self-interest. You gave me back my humanity. You're giving me back my dreams, all the things I thought I'd never have, education, travel, someone who sees me as more than just the help. You were never just anything. You're extraordinary, and it's my life's mission now to make sure you know that every single day. They stayed until the restaurant was closing, talking and laughing and planning impossible futures that suddenly felt possible. Jun-ho drove her home slowly, neither of them wanting the night to end. When they finally reached her building, he walked her to her door, like always. Can I see you tomorrow? He asked. And the day after that? And every day until you get sick of me? I don't think I could get sick of you if I tried. Good. Because I'm very persistent when I want something. And Tasha? He leaned in close, his forehead resting against hers. I want you. Today, tomorrow, forever. Whatever that looks like, however we make it work, I want every moment I can have with you. Forever is a long time. Not long enough. He pulled back, smiled that soft smile reserved just for her. Sleep well. Dream good dreams. I'll call you in the morning. You'll call me in an hour. Let's be honest. You know me too well already. She watched him leave, then floated into her apartment on a cloud of happiness so intense it felt almost dangerous. Her phone rang 20 minutes later. The new one. You lasted longer than I thought, Tasha teased. I missed your voice. Sue me. Jun-ho sounded relaxed, happy, younger somehow. What are you doing? Lying on my couch, thinking about tonight, about everything. Good thoughts, I hope. The best thoughts. Junho? Yeah? Thank you for sharing your mother's memory with me, for trusting me with something that sacred. Silence. Then roughly, thank you for making it beautiful again instead of just painful. Thank you for being exactly who you are, kind and brave and perfectly imperfect. They talked until Tasha fell asleep with the phone still pressed to her ear. On Junho's voice, the last thing she heard before dreams took over. And for the first time in years, those dreams were full of possibility instead of limitation, of love instead of loneliness, of a future that stretched bright and endless before her. Because she'd defended a homeless man from thugs and found her forever. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open your heart to someone who sees your worth before you do. Because love, real love, was worth every risk, every fear, every impossible obstacle. And this love, this beautiful, complicated, against all odds love, this was just the beginning of their love life. Hit that like button and subscribe to watch the next one I'm dropping tomorrow. It's filled with plot twist, and I want to see you watch first.